Broadcasting from the heart of downtown Hollywood, this is SoFloRadio.com. SoFloRadio.com presents CEOmanship, becoming a leader in today's business world, with your host, Steve Gordon, CEO of Gordon Partnership Group, an international business consulting firm specializing in CEO bootcamp, sales team training, as well as client growth and retention. Visit GordonPartnershipGroup.com. Gordon Partnership Group, your success is our business. And now, here's your host, Steve Gordon.
George.
Steve.
George.
How you doing?
How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. It's officially.
Did you just say how you doing?
How you doing? What's doing?
Are you trying to pretend to be a New Yorker?
It would be a pretense. It would certainly be very pretentious.
Speaking of pretentious, let me tell you something. It is obviously snowbird season.
Yep.
I got flipped off the other day driving. First time in Florida.
Bienvenue.
That's not true. That happens in Boca all the time. Sorry, Boca. But it does not happen to me up where I live.
No.
And then I looked, and the plates were New Jersey plates. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Absolutely. The seasons are changing when you see different colors on the license plates.
On the license plates.
Florida.
I love it. We got a lot going on. I really, want to catch up. Today is Cyber Monday. And so what better day than to bring back my great guest from 2 weeks ago, Dr. John Michael Salvato. Dr. Salvato and I were on a couple weeks ago. Hey, John Michael, you're on the air just for a second if you want to smile. There you go. We'll bring you back in a second. We had great feedback from Dr. Salvato last week, and we got so involved in the new project that we just launched that we didn't really have a chance to cover some of the questions, some of the topics that I had wanted to cover during the time that we had Dr. Salvato on the air. And so it worries me when my producer, you can't see this, Dr. Salvato, but George just grabbed a piece of scrap paper, a Post-it note.
That's right.
And stuck it to the table here where we're sitting, which means that he's going to start writing me notes. And that's
not necessarily, but should I want to write a note, I want to be ready to write.
So we're doing something really interesting. Before I bring our guest on the radio and the television, for those of you who normally watch us live on Mondays at noon, again, Mondays at noon Eastern Time, you can join us live every Monday on CEOmanship Radio and Television, coming directly to you from the Hollywood studios of SoFlo Radio and SoFlo Television. And you can watch live streaming anywhere in the world at SoFlo Radio or SoFloTelevision.com. Right with me is to my left, those of you watching today's live stream, to your right is my producer extraordinaire, great friend, not such a good business guy, but that's why I'm here. That's George Rodriguez.
Medium at
but
this point.
You did get those new checks last week. That was good.
I did get exciting new checks.
So last week we brought Dr. Salvato on, or 2 weeks ago, I'm sorry, and we talked a lot about a new project that he and I were launching after 21 years in the business world, where we hadn't done a lot together, from a couple of little things, but we got great feedback. And then a lot of people said, well, you were going to talk a lot about how to market online, how to use relationship marketing to generate new prospects for your business, how to do things that would help you grow your business without the typical spamming on Facebook, spamming on Twitter, for lack of a better term, throwing up on potential prospects. And what that actually makes them do is to make them run away. So the other thing we're doing today, for the very, very first time, is we're using a beta product from Twitter, and it's called Blab, B-L-A-B. And Blab allows us to communicate. It's a small group conferencing. It's a kind of combination of video and text chat. You can have up to 4 people in your Blab talking at any one time. It's sort of conversational. It's not like Periscope, and Dr. Salvato, I'll ask you to kind of explain some of the differences later, but the idea of Blab is to bring people on and to allow them to converse with you. Now, in this case, I'm kind of breaking the rules a little bit because I'm not bringing people on to speak to me, but we hope to be able to let our audience who's watching the Blab feed to communicate with us directly by asking questions. They'll be able to hear you, Dr. Salvato, when you're, and all of our guests when we bring those guests on. So they'll be able to hear the show, and I'll occasionally turn the video camera around so that they can see what I see from behind the scenes in our studio. But without further ado, let me just ask George, anything you want to share? Any good news?
A lot of good news. I'll tell you off the air.
Oh, you have to tell me off the air. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. That scares
It's
me.
Great news.
You had a date.
Also, yeah. Well, there's that, and other good news, and I'm returning your wife's Tupperware.
Oh, that's nothing like that. It's not Tupperware though. That's it's another company. But
no, it's preserveware.
Yes, it's something like that. Well, if you have nothing you can share on the air because this is a business show and not it's not your show. Then why don't we bring our guest on right away? For those of you who were not with us last week, let me just give you another introduction to Dr. Salvato. Dr. John Michael Salvato is one of the world's most sought-after executive development and, of course, peak performance coaches. He's also one of the top motivational speakers and a #1 best-selling inspirational author. He's an educational leader who's worked with and mentored some of the most successful entrepreneurs in the field of direct sales and internet marketing, as well as world-class athletes, coaches, and their coaches' athletes. Dr. Salvato is going to help you today to refine your mental skills, those skills necessary to perform at your best when it means the most, while cultivating really your primary greatness. So with that said, Dr. Salvato, Dr. John Michael Salvato, welcome once again to another episode, another week of CEOmanship Radio and Television. And how are you today? Oh, we're not hearing you.
Great Thanksgiving dinner for those who observe Thanksgiving, and anyone else who's watching around the world. That you had a fantastic couple weeks since we were back. It's good to be here.
I'm glad to have you. And just want to remind all of our guests listening, whether it's through Blab or live on the show right now, that you can get all of the archive shows on CEOmanship, CEOmanship.com. And so there's an opportunity to watch, and again, SoFlo Radio and SoFloTelevision.com every Monday at noon live. So, Dr. Salvato, last time we talked about relationship marketing, social media marketing, and how it's changed the landscape of businesses. But in your particular case, you are a coach of all different business professionals, but you tend to specialize in working with those men and women who work from home. So maybe the solopreneur, the small business owner, the man or the woman who's in a home-based business, all of the above. Where do you see all this in terms of the changing landscape in the internet? Because when you and I started our business 21 years ago, our first business where we met, things were different. It was the Wild West. Anything went, and there really wasn't a lot of technology, so we kind of fended for ourselves, and there were no police out there. But the game's changed.
Yeah, it really has, Steve. One of the things you just brought up a good point was 21 years ago, we didn't have all of these tools, all these platforms, all of these social media sites to rely on. And so what you and I did to go on to grow an organization of 358,000 men and women in 39 countries in just under 18 months was we built relationships with people, and we used the technology that was available back then, crude as it was, to connect heart to heart, mind to mind. And so we fast forward 21 years, and I share those numbers not to impress people, but to impress upon them what we were able to do when there weren't webinars, there wasn't a Skype, there wasn't video chat, but we made do with what we had. And our focus was on connecting with other people. I was going
to say, John Michael, if you think about it, if you owned a typical brick and mortar business, let's say you owned a small business in your hometown, right? You wouldn't run around and just grab random people in any parking lot. Like if you owned a hardware store, you wouldn't run over to Home Depot and just start shaking people down and going, "Hey, go to my place. I have a better deal. Buy my hammers. Buy my this." Because people would get annoyed. Nobody would shop with you, and pretty soon you get a pretty bad reputation. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like the guy with the trench coat that says, "Want to buy a watch?" When you're just walking down the street trying to go get a hamburger. And in today's marketplace, there's no shortage of gurus out there, self-proclaimed and questionably qualified, who tell you that for if you just throw $50 or $100 a month or $150 a month, they're going to let you in on some inside secrets on how to build your business online. And you get in there, you find out that what they're telling you how to do is stuff that's 10 years old and didn't even work very well 10 years ago, but it's working really well at padding their pockets. And that's really the unfortunate thing that happens when we have access to all of this information at once. We have access to all these tools at once. Is there are folks who just get out there and think that they'll call themselves an expert and they'll tell people what to do and they'll make a quick buck, and then they're like gypsies. They're on to the next deal. They're on to the next ebook. I mean, there's people out there who are telling you every week that I'm going to help you make your breakthrough in 2015, and all you got to do is send me another $25, and then next month it's another $25, and next month it's $50. And you make no progress.
I being one who's been involved in coaching business owners, CEOs, and also one who has built an international direct selling business that's done millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars in sales. I have watched over the years, over the decades, those same gurus, and every year they hop from one deal to the next, and I keep thinking to myself, people follow them, and I'm wondering why, because at the end of the day, where's the integrity? I mean, how many times do you have to have the rug pulled out from under you to realize the person you're following is only using you to feather their own nest financially, but at the end of the day, they're just going from deal to deal and banking as much as they can with complete disregard for the people that follow them, which is really sad because those people that follow them are the ones that are truly feathering their nests.
Yep, absolutely. And there's a void in the marketplace for that information. The reason those people's nests keep getting feathered, as you said, is because people are hungry for the information. They want desperately to learn the skills to be able to succeed online like so many of us have been able to do. Right. But the information they're getting is only just getting them further in debt, and it's actually ruining their relationships. It
is really sad. You're right. I mean, we've all known people, not just relationships in business, but also family relationships, because, you follow somebody, you throw enough money after a business opportunity, and at some point, your spouse looks at you and says, "Hey, come on. You've been doing this over and over again, but you are truly an entrepreneur, and you're just the right jockey, perhaps on the wrong horse, and you're looking for something, and yet you are following the wrong guru." So let me ask you a question. In your booklet, Prosperity Reinvented, the book behind the movement. Now, you talk about how a lot of marketers are missing the mark on how to use social media. What do you mean by that exactly?
Well, I mean that they're putting the cart before the horse, and they're thinking that social media is a great, as many of us thought when it first began, is a great place to post links to their landing pages, and a great place to post links to their websites or their products, or to sell products. They think that if I just get out there and I post pictures of my product, income opportunities and whatever sort of advertising. Sometimes well thought out, sometimes not so well thought out, but they're putting it on their Facebook pages, they're putting it on Twitter, they're putting it on Google+. And what ends up happening, and they're doing it with platforms like Blab and Periscope, and what they're doing is they're really ending up destroying the opportunity to create those relationships. I mean, I want you to think about something for a minute. We started this little mentoring group, and this mentoring group was for a specific company's people, and they wanted me to teach them how to relationship market because they were struggling to make sales.
Right.
And they thought I was going to come on there and tell them how, okay, this is how you sell this product and this is how you sell that product. And I got on there and said, how many people are you connecting with every day? And I said that, the first thing that my mentor, the late Mr. Jim Rohn, who I had the privilege of working with for 18 months, drilled into our heads every single day was that if you want to increase your paycheck, you've got to increase your value in the marketplace. Nothing else. You don't have to make more sales. You don't have to sell a more expensive product. You don't have to increase your profit margin. You have to increase your value in the marketplace. And that's what this movement is all about.
Well, so when you talk about increasing your value in the marketplace, are you talking about creating a persona of or legitimately going out there and giving value to people so that they want to come back? Sort of like you go to a restaurant, I'm guessing, and if the food is good and the price is good and the ambiance is good and you had a great time, then they have created enough value to warrant you wanting to come back. But if you
not just to warrant you wanted to come back, but to tell their friends.
And that's right, and to tell their friends and to tell your friends. So what are some of the ways then that people can create this value? Maybe somebody's listening right now to our show who said, how do I do what you're saying, Dr. Salvato? I'm in a situation here where I would really like to grow a business. I think I know a lot about a particular topic, and we're not necessarily talking about multi-level marketing or home-based business. It could be anything from somebody who is an accountant or a financial planner. But how do you go about creating that credibility so that you become somebody of value to the end user and make them want to? It's pull marketing almost, right? Is that marketing? Meaning instead of pushing your stuff, you're pulling people into you. And so, what are some of the ways that you would coach your students to do that?
And another term for it might be attraction marketing, and that's the one that I personally prefer because it's all about attracting people to the person that you are. So the couple things. The first thing I like people to think about is if nobody got hungry, there wouldn't be any multi-million-dollar restaurant chains out there. So why did Ray Kroc go on to become a billionaire with McDonald's? Well, because it wasn't because he set out to create the best hamburger. It wasn't because he set out to be the finest restaurant on earth. It's because he paid attention to the needs in the marketplace. So how did he add value to the marketplace? He brought an inexpensive product at a price that people were willing to pay at a point in time when people were concerned with watching pennies. And he brought it to them fast because those people were working crazy hours, long hours, and trying to juggle, life, a family, kids, soccer moms, and all of that. So what he did was he listened to the need in the marketplace. So the small business entrepreneur has to do the same thing. Quite often we go out into the marketplace and we're talking. We're telling people, and the conventional wisdom was you got to talk to 3 to 5 people every single day. But nobody said the real key, you have to listen to 3 to 5 people every day.
When I'm consulting and I'm coaching, I say in different words, but exactly what you just said. And that is that, everybody goes out there and they think that exactly if they talk to 1 or 2 or 3 people a day, that they've made 3 contacts. And in essence, they're correct. They have made 3 contacts. But that doesn't mean those contacts are qualified prospects for whatever it is. In other words, if I'm talking to someone who's 15 years old, they're probably not interested in life insurance, right? So I might be getting a contact, but I'm not getting a prospect. If I'm talking to somebody who's 90 years old, I might probably not be talking to the right prospect either for life insurance. So the first thing I teach people, and this is probably one of the things you're going to also talk about online, but offline, I always say, look, you can go fishing in the bathtub, and you can go fishing in the Atlantic Ocean, right? And technically, if you're holding a fishing rod and there's bait at the end of it, and you're sitting there, whether you got it in the bathtub or you got it in the ocean, you're fishing, right? But the likelihood is that there's only one place you're going to catch a fish. So the first thing we need to do is to teach our people where to fish, and then how to fish, right? So the next thing I always talk to people about is I remind them, look, when you talk to people, you have 2 ears and you have 1 mouth, right? Which is kind of funny for the guy who has a talk show who does talking for an hour straight. But when I'm not on the air, one of the things I teach people is, look, you have to use them in that ratio. Ask questions. Listen to what people are telling you. People will give you the reason always that they need your product if you just pay attention. Lori always says, for those of you who are new listeners to the show, Lori Gordon, simply LoriGordon.com, health coach and also terrific marketing expert. Lori constantly talks about how, you've got to go out there and pay attention to the road signs because there are road signs everywhere. And wherever we're going, they're there. People say things, and sometimes people go, oh, that was just coincidence, or that was this, or that was that. The reality is, if you look at certain people who pay attention, those road signs are not there by accident. They all have a meaning, they all have a message, and it's your job to not only be aware, to be in the moment. It's like you look at the kids today, right? They're all on their phones, they're tweeting, they're texting, they're Facebooking, they're Snapchatting. They have no idea what's going on. Right there in front of them. Pay attention. The answers are always right in front of you if you just pay attention. So how do you do that online, Dr. Salvato?
Well, you do that by doing exactly what you said. You ask questions, you engage people, and you find out what their story is and listen very carefully when they give you their answers for the things in their lives that are problems. They cause them pain. They cause them distress or anxiety. And just as you would, you have to cultivate a relationship the way you would an offline relationship. If you made a friend at a party, you're going to ask them questions to sort of get to know them. And you're going to determine in those questions, and maybe the first 3 or 4 or 5 questions, whether that's somebody that you want to connect with. So it takes you out of the way we teach. It takes you out of that desperation mode, so that you're legitimately looking for people that you want to connect with. If I ask somebody some questions, and in that first couple minutes they're spamming me, or they're just belligerent, or they're not somebody that I just connect with. Maybe they're a great person, but they're just not somebody that I want to connect with. I just politely thank them for connecting with me, and I move on. But when there's a real connection there, and those connections take time, that the next step is to become what I call a servant leader, to find out ways that you can serve that person, that you can help that person, even if it's in the smallest of ways.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. You're talking about being a servant leader. When people realize that you're doing something because it's for them, they will work multiple times harder, because they feel almost obligated, but that's not the reason you're doing it. But if they feel like you're doing it for you, game over. If somebody feels like the only reason you're helping them is because you're going to make money, game over. And George, it's sort of like when we're doing an interview on the radio or the television, whether it's your show, my show, or anybody else's, when you've got a live guest and that guest is speaking, the good host and the good producer are paying attention. They're listening. Because sometimes, how many times have I come in here with pages and pages of questions for a guest, right?
Sure.
And I go, George, after the show's over, I got through like 3 questions. I had 9
absolutely.
pages.
That's how it happens. But that's a good interview. That means it flowed all by itself.
Well, we have a lot of flow on this show.
Yes, you do.
So once again, for those folks listening today on our blab, if you have any questions for our guest, Dr. John Michael Salvato, we're talking about relationship marketing and the best ways to market yourself and your business on the internet through social media and other without spamming, without seeming sort of slimy. Feel free to text us or type us a question, and we'll try to get those on the air. So let me go back a second. Are you saying then, Dr. Salvato, that people should not be using social media to advertise their website or a landing page or a business because that is overall it's kind of spammy, or what are you saying?
Absolutely. What I'm telling people, specifically to do is no more than 1 or 2 times in an entire course of a week should they make a mention of their business, but they make mention by saying something like, I really appreciate having an opportunity to work with people in a business that allows them to reclaim their right to better health and financial fitness, better health in every aspect of their lives. And I look forward to talking with other people who are interested in that. And, you can certainly inbox me if you know somebody that fits that description. End of story. No website link, no pitch, no, come to my webinar. Just, get back in touch with me if you inbox me if you'd like more information.
So do you think that means that nowadays then internet marketers and affiliate marketers or even those who are just trying to promote their own business, those individuals will have to work harder than they did in the past to get customers?
I think that you have two different kinds of people. That the affiliate marketers are out there just spamming the universe overall, and they're going through a numbers game, and they're not delivering value. So they figure up that what they lose in angry customers or people who didn't get what they paid for, they make up in numbers. And if that's where somebody's coming from, I personally don't have any interest in changing or striving to change somebody's level of integrity or ethics. But that the legitimate home-based business owner, small business owners, solopreneurs, those are folks who overall, let's face it, they saw a need in the marketplace and they wanted to provide a solution. And so what we're really doing is helping them to tap into resources that they already have inside themselves and resources that they have all around them that they may have been using incorrectly. They might have been using Facebook as a spammy place, and we help them to clean that profile up and set up a fan page and use that fan page appropriately to engage customers, again, not to advertise, and how to use things like, very few people understand how to use Facebook events or Google Plus events. And it's all about teaching people how you can use those tools, but use them to bring value. Use them to help somebody learn something. I'll give you a great example. On tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern time, we do a hangout on once a week, and we teach social media skills. Now tonight happens to be about Blab and Blab.im and Periscope, and what are the proper ways to use those two tools, because a lot of people are getting confused. A lot of people are frustrated because they're trying to use one and not the other, and they're trying to do things with one that it wasn't designed for. So we do these free weekly masterminds. It's called the Barefoot Millionaire Mastermind, and we just share strategies and tactics that are working for millions of entrepreneurs around the world. And that's kind of what happened. We brought this small group of people together. Before we knew it, it grew into a movement, grassroots movement on its own.
So if somebody wanted to listen as a guest to this mastermind group, and as you mentioned tonight, you're talking about social media, you're talking about Blab, talking about Periscope. How would somebody listen in? And that's every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern time.
Correct.
So how would somebody hop online and find you?
Well, it's really easy. They go to prosperityreinvented.com, and on Tuesday nights at the top of the page, there will be a link that appears at the very top of that page that allows them to click on that link and go to the live show. There's other opportunities that we're going to share at the end of this interview today, where I'm going to tell you how to find out what the shows are that are coming up, how to not miss out on a single show, and how to get to the rebroadcasts, which you can't find on the website. And you do that at the same time. You're going to get a free book, the book Prosperity Reinvented, little booklet actually, very easy read that talks about the idea behind the movement. And so if they stay tuned at the very end, we're gonna share that. And I have to ask a quick question of you, if you don't mind. Would it be possible I know you said we were going to take a break shortly. Could we take a break for just a couple minutes? I have to.
We are about to take that break.
UPS guy's banging at the back
right
door.
now. See, that's a home business professional, folks. John Michael, stay with me. We're going to be back in a little bit. My name is Steve Gordon. For those of you on Periscope watching live, we'll be back in a couple of minutes. We're going to take a break. Again, Steve Gordon. This is CEOmanship Radio, CEOmanship Television, coming to you live from Hollywood, Florida, on SoFlo Radio and SoFloTelevision.com. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
CEOmanship with Steve Gordon next on SoFloRadio.com.
Put a team of professional consultants behind your home or business computer with Key Information Solutions, providing solutions to your internet and computing needs while keeping you on the cutting edge of technology. Preventative maintenance and networking support, hardware and custom-built computers. Let Key Information Solutions be your personal tech staff for your home or office with affordable hourly, monthly, or annual rates to fit anyone's budget. Call Key Information Solutions now, 954-973-3374. That's 954-973-3374. Or visit keyinformation.com.
This is Philip Simonetta, the real estate king of South Florida. Are you sick and tired of dealing with realtors in flip-flops and shorts who sell homes that have doors and windows? Good, so am I. The Real Estate King of South Florida radio show introduces professionalism, authenticity, structure, and accountability to the real estate industry. So if you're buying, selling, investing, or breathing, don't miss the show.
The Real Estate King of South Florida, Tuesday evenings at 7 on SoFloRadio.com.
Now, back to CEOmanship with Steve Gordon on SoFloRadio.com.
Wow, new music.
Yeah,
Can you
something,
turn that up
something a
bit? I
little
wanna hear
punchy.
that. Let me hear
Something
that.
punchy.
Let me hear that punch music now. Here, bang it up there.
Really?
Yeah, I like that. See, Dr. Salvato,
It's kinda
you come on, we
crunchy.
get good music. I come on, it's like Frank Sinatra. Not that Frank's not good. I don't mean that. I'm
Dissing
gonna
on
get
Frank
tons
Sinatra
of
all of a
tweets
sudden.
now.
Oh,
People
boy,
go,
that's
you don't
it.
like
That's
Frank
it.
Sinatra. I love
Communists.
Frank. That's not my point. My point was that, it's like slower music versus pump-up music. My guest today, from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Dr. John Michael Salvato. For those of you who were with us 2 weeks ago, Dr. Salvato and I had some big announcements about a project that we had are just starting to release right now, and we had great feedback. We also were planning on talking last time, 2 weeks ago, about different ways to properly market on the internet and ways that probably will scare prospects off. Unfortunately, 2 weeks ago, we ran long on the show, and my producer, George Rodriguez, said, gotta stop talking because show's up, next show's on. Anyway, so we are here coming live to you from the studios of SoFlo Radio and SoFloTelevision.com here in Hollywood, Florida. My guest, Dr. John Michael Salvato, was just mentioning that every week on Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, Dr. Salvato hosts for no cost, for free. I hope that's okay that I just said that because I think you did say it. A mentoring session, a coaching session. And if you just go to prosperityreinvented.com, you can look right there and you'll see the live coaching session. And then you'll also have access to his book, I believe. If I'm giving away the farm here, just stop me, Dr. Salvato. But his Prosperity Reinvented book, which is great. I want our listeners to know that I've actually spent the last week or so, maybe even 2 weeks, being coached by Dr. Salvato, and I've learned so much about things that people do wrong. Notice I didn't say I do wrong, but people do wrong and people could do better. I've learned so much about great pieces of technology, and I'm so appreciative. And I hope that our listeners, whether you're listening to the behind-the-scenes show on Blab today, or you're watching live on SoFlo Radio and Television.com, or you're watching on the CEOmanship.com archives, I hope that you'll take Dr. Salvato up on his offer to coach you and mentor you, because it's really worth it, and the price is right. Anyway, so this past couple of weeks, several direct selling businesses, direct marketing businesses, network marketing companies, one Solavi and another one called Vima. Both went out of business. And, I got to say that my heart goes out to the people that were building those businesses, because they're hardworking individuals. They're moms, they're dads. In the case of Vima, there were a lot of, maybe college-age students that were out there trying to build a business. And it's not easy. We've got kids, three kids in college. And one of them hopefully will be out of school in the next few months. And it's not easy for young folks to get a job. And so these home businesses can provide people an opportunity to make a legitimate income from home. And yet we're looking at about 500,000, I'm doing an approximation, but about 500,000 of their distributors in those companies that are without a business and now without an income. So what do you think is kind of going on? Is it something industry-wide, or why is this happening, in your opinion?
Well, it's happened with those two companies. It happened for two different reasons. One company was shut down by the feds because they were making income claims that were unsubstantiated, and that's always unfortunate for the members that are getting hurt. As you said, 500,000 distributors in those two companies who lost their income. They lost their checks. They weren't going to get paid for work that they had already done. In both cases, but in this most recent case, I mean, I think and it's unfortunate for the folks who were in Vema. I don't want to sort of minimize or dismiss their losses. But when you look at 400,000 people that were in Solvay, and the fact that they had a really outstanding founder in that company who was really dedicated to not just doing what it was going to take to grow their business, but he was really dedicated to a lot of special charity work that the company was planning on doing and moving forward, that they were so close to doing. And then what happened was that, that company lost their contract with their provider. Most of these home businesses that are out there today, as you know, Steve, are buying their product, whether it's a telecom product, a nutrition product, an energy drink, a household product. They're buying their products from other manufacturers, and they're private labeling them. And when that happens, two things occur. One, the price of your product becomes ridiculous by contrast to the equivalent price in the marketplace. So you're right off the bat, these distributors are working harder because they have to sell a product that they can buy at the grocery store for $10, and they have to sell it for $45. And so that puts the odds stacked against them. So they stick to it, and they persevere, and they're out there trying to build their business. And the other issue that you come against is when you are buying a product and you're not the manufacturer, is that when that company says we're taking the contract from you, you don't have any control over your product. And if you don't control the product, you don't control the cash flow. And that's when companies have to say what Ryan had to say in a very heart-wrenching video, because you could tell that it broke his heart to say that he couldn't pay people for the commissions that were coming to them, that they were owed to them, and that he wasn't, and that they were just going to shut the doors. So all of their plans for charities went down the tubes. And Steve, you bring to the table something. I appreciated your kind words, but I just wanted to say in relation to this, relationship marketing is all about being able to engage, and the other half of that engagement is, what do you say when something like this happens, or what do you say when you have an opportunity because someone says, tell me about your business. And folks, this project we started with Steve, you're not going to find a better coach to help you understand what do you say when it is time to talk about your product. What do you say when it is time to position your product in the marketplace so that you're still delivering value? And so I just want to recognize you and give you props, and Lori props as well, because this really is a team effort. This project, I couldn't do this project myself. This is a team effort. We each bring to the table the areas that we've excelled in, and share that freely with folks who are serious about we'll put it that way. People who want to get rid of the toxins in their homes, in their bodies, in their minds, and in their finances.
Well, first of all, thank you for your kind words. I appreciate them, but certainly this is definitely not about me. And my goal is just to bring information to the masses, whether it's those listening live here in South Florida or online, and to provide value. And I guess that is my radio show version and my television show version of what you're saying on your coaching sessions, which is to give people boom. Is that what you just said? I got a hashtag boom. Boy, I feel like one of the kids now. Showing my age. So here we go. I guess going with that thought, right? You started to say, now, so there's all these people out there that are looking for a home. I'm going to press you a little bit because you said, here's Steve, he could tell you what to say. But if you bumped into somebody in your coaching session that might have been with one of two scenarios. The first scenario might be somebody who says, you know what, I'm in a situation where I was with a company that went out of business, and they put a lot of effort. I mean, they put their blood, their sweat, their tears into that business, and they now find themselves without a home. But they're licking their chops because you and I both know. And again, this show is not always aimed at those people who are in home-based businesses. In fact, this is really the first home-based focused show that I've done since I've started the CEOmanship radio show and television show. But my question to you is this. When you're dealing with somebody whose company might have gone out of business, or they've worked really, really hard in a network marketing business, and they've told their friends, they've told everybody they know, look, I'm going to be the next intergalactic millionaire. And I'm not, by using that term, I'm not making fun of the rankings at network marketing. I'm very pro network marketing. I mean, you know, and so do many of my listeners and viewers that I've been very blessed to have built a multi-million dollar a year direct selling business. So I am pro network marketing, but I'm not pro when people do it the wrong way, and I'm not pro when people are mean or nasty or don't tell the truth. Because I believe the truth is always good enough. But when we're talking to someone who's been in a situation, maybe they're in another company, and maybe we know that they're not quite doing as well. I mean, there are some tells, right? Somebody's telling you they're crushing it in a home business or any business, but they pull up to a meeting maybe in a car that doesn't look like somebody who is making the kind of income they were claiming would be driving. Not to say that the car is everything, but or maybe there's tells. Look at the clothes they're wearing. Are they wearing a nice watch? Are they wearing nice shoes, belt? If they're wearing a suit, is it a nice suit? Or all of these things are subtle tells that you can use. And by the way, I would do the same thing with a financial planner or a stockbroker or somebody who came to sell me anything. If somebody wants to tell me how to invest my money to make more, but they're pulling into my house and they're wearing, for example, ratty shoes that haven't been polished in a while. I feel very, very blessed. I have a couple years ago, I was blessed to be able to buy a Porsche 911. I love my car. And one of the reasons one of the reasons I got that car is because I felt like I was dealing with some very high net worth individuals. And if I pulled into their home in a dented old car, even though I was making a certain amount of money, they would look at me and immediately dismiss me, because people make judgments in literally, they size people up in seconds. In fact, if those of you who are new listeners to the show, if you go to CEOmanship.com, you can look in the archives, and we did an entire show on perception and how people judge you within the first few seconds, and things that you can do to improve that. And so feel free to go back to those archives. But Dr. Salvato, so you're dealing with two things. You're dealing with somebody who might it's like breaking up with the love of your life, right? You realize that maybe you're in a relationship and you felt like you loved this person so much, but then you started to realize it was a toxic relationship. And so there's part of you that wants to hold on and hold on and hold on and hold on, but there's part of you that says, I gotta cut the line, because this is not good for me. And it's the same thing in some of these businesses. I know, because I was that person. I was in a multi-level marketing company 25 years ago, and I built a very, very large organization of distributors, except I really can't call them distributors, because distributors actually sell product, right? I had a lot of names on a piece of paper, and they paraded me around the stage at all the events as like this high-ranking individual, but inside, I knew that my checks weren't reflecting anything that the title was supposed to reflect. And so I knew at that point there were a lot of other people just like myself. But to go to those people and say, hey, I know you're not making money, is very insensitive. So how do you deal with the breakup factor, helping someone to come to the reality that maybe there's somebody else out there, there's another business out there, without going, look at me, look at me, look at me? And how do you deal with that ego? Because let's face it, I told everybody I know, my mother, my father, my family, my friends, that I was going to be the next multimillionaire in that company. And so when I had to come to the not only personal realization, but then the outward realization to share with other people in my life that I was leaving that company because it just wasn't working, was really hard.
Sure. Well, to answer your question, I think the answer, there's two parts to that answer. It goes back to the two things we've been talking about on this whole show. One is attraction marketing. and cultivating relationships. And that's, by attracting people to you without trying to sell them. You're going to have greater trust. They're going to become people who are in your circle of trust, if you want to use a phrase from a movie with Robert De Niro. But I think more importantly, look at your analogy of the breakup. And when somebody's going through a breakup, the good friend, and I'm not saying that everybody does this, but the friend who's really smart doesn't try to fix you up with somebody else right away. They understand you're going through a breakup. So what do? They're there for you. They're the friend that you need. They're supportive of you. They try and help you to get over that situation, and they bring value to your relationship because they're willing to listen when maybe nobody else is, or when somebody else, when their other friends are coming and saying, "Oh, you got to get over that. You know what? Let's go to the club." That's what happens when a network marketer sees folks like these folks from Solvay, and like a bunch of vultures, they try to swoop in and recruit those people. They're like the friend who comes up to you after you just broke up with your girlfriend or boyfriend and says, "Oh, forget her. Let's go to the club."
Wow, that is such a great analogy, and it's so true. It's that nurturer that does come in and earn your trust. It's the person who doesn't ask for something, but just says, "I'm here for you," that earns that trust. So if you were that person, and I know you just said you would sort of be there, but let's just say that you and I knew each other back then. Well, we did, but actually we didn't at that point. I hadn't met you. But let's say that you wanted to introduce me to a business, or you had something you thought was good for me. But at that point, I had just come out of this horrible business breakup. What in today's world, even though we're talking back then, what would you have done? I mean, would you have just said, "Hey, look, I understand, and here's some things that you might be able to do in the future if you ever find the right business"? I mean, what would you do to earn that trust or to develop that friendship?
I would encourage that person based on what their skill set is and what I feel they can bring to the marketplace, and just say to them, "You know what? We all make bad decisions at one time or another. I've made them. Everyone that I know that's successful in this industry has made them. So I just want to encourage you not to give up. You'll find the market niche that's right for you. And if I can ever help you explore those options, that I'm here for you. But I just feel right now like the best thing I can do is be here to listen and be here to support you. And whatever it is that you need, you just let me know." And I would leave it at that. And the reason I can leave it at that is because I know that every single day on social media, I'm going to be using certain tools that we teach you how to use in the Barefoot Millionaire Mastermind and Prosperity Reinvented. I'll be using certain tools that are adding value, that are letting that person know, establishing greater credibility, establishing greater trust. And so that when that person's ready, because it's not about me, it's about them. It's not, people don't buy opportunities, they buy people. And people don't buy products, they buy results. So when they've bought me, when they're ready to take that step again, when they believe in themselves enough again, and they've allowed themselves to grieve that whatever period of time they need, then they know where I am, and they know that I'm a guy who's all about being there for them, not about doing something to them. And so we then can take that next step. They also know that because I share things through social media, using video, using Blab, using Periscope or Twitter or any of those other social media platforms and tools, they know that I'm out there. So if at any time they want to take a look at what I'm doing, they have an escape hatch. They can look almost like a voyeur and not feel like they're getting a sales pitch, because I'm out there just making presentations every day. I'm sharing the concept, and they know that based on how I package what I do, and somebody asks me what I do, I don't tell them about my company. I don't tell them the name of the company. I don't tell them about the products. I tell them that my sole business is to enhance the lives of the people that I touch every single day by cultivating primary greatness in myself and inspiring it in other people, by helping people to reclaim their right to better health and financial fitness. And better health means every aspect of their lives. And financial fitness ultimately leads them to what everybody's looking for, and that's freedom. And so I just say, we call my approach Prosperity Reinvented, and I just love sharing it with people. And then I shut up, because that's their opportunity then to see if there's a fit. If they want to explore their options further, they're going to let me know. I don't chase people. I don't have to ask them to join my business.
I'm listening to you, and I'm going, wow, I need to work with that guy. Because that was exciting. That was powerful. And your words are powerful. And you know what? I felt your sincerity from the very moment you spoke. And I believe, like you said, that when people realize how much you care, then they'll listen to you. But until that point, they're not going to listen to you. Or they'll hear you just sort of half-heartedly.
Absolutely.
George, you paying attention to all this?
No, none at all. I'm taking notes.
No,
I might be at the Hangout tonight.
You know what's it? That would be great. George mentioned the Hangout, and if you just tuned in late, Dr. John Michael Salvato is our guest. He is one of the world's foremost trainers, motivational speakers, is a best-selling author. Dr. Salvato has offered our guests and our listeners the opportunity to join him on a weekly Google Hangout, where he will coach and mentor and train and work with folks. And you can join that by going to prosperityreinvented.com. It's every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern. My guess is, particularly after this show, you will probably want to get on a few minutes before 10. Feel free to share that information with people you work with. If you're in a business, whether you're in insurance and you are a broker and you have agents that work for you, or real estate, have agents that work for you, network marketing, direct sales, party plan, any kind of business where you have folks that work with you, why not share that Google Hangout with your team so that you can go through the process and learn together? It doesn't cost you a penny. Dr. Salvato is great, and as I said, we've worked together for 21 years on and off in several different projects. I can tell you that pretty much everything that he touches, certainly that we've done together, has turned out to be, well, I want to say pretty golden. It's been pretty good. And in fact, I was being humble. It's been awesome. We've had a great working relationship. And the interesting thing about our working relationship is that you and I, we now haven't worked together in anything directly in a very, very long time. And we've gone as long as maybe 10 years. But we always stayed in touch, and we always respected each other. We always asked each other questions, came back and forth. I think that the only thing that you like better than working with me is the opportunity to work with myself and my wife now, because we come from two different perspectives, and it's great to get that sort of yin-yang, male-female perspective. I'm sales, she's marketing, and that's a great combination in our life, in our business, and in our partnerships with our clients. So George,
Steve,
now we're talking about your business, and here you have this radio station, and you've got all these listeners all over the world, and you do a lot of relationship marketing on the air.
Absolutely, I didn't realize that that's what it was called, but yeah, absolutely we do, and we're our own advertising for one thing. It's great because we're an advertising vehicle, so we can certainly advertise ourselves.
Right.
Besides providing an opportunity for other people to advertise their business and their product here on SoFlo Radio and SoFlo Television, which is an offshoot because the video became in demand. It was something that we acquiesced to grudgingly at first. Okay, we'll let you see what we're doing when we do the radio show, and it's overtaken the radio aspect of what we do here. The video. I
know that kills you because it
tears me up inside.
You're an old time radio guy.
Very old, yeah.
And it's true. I mean, I know myself that I often am aware that there's a camera here as I'm holding up the camera for Blab.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think that you have to grow with the times.
There's no question about it.
We're an instant gratification society, and while it's great, and here's the fun thing: you can listen to SoFlo Radio in your car.
Sure.
On pretty much every radio app.
Any radio,
tune in,
streaming, Wonder Radio, iTunes, iTunes Radio,
right? And like the CEOmanship show gets uploaded as a podcast every single week.
Sure,
and so that's
and
great.
It's on YouTube, and so it's a multimedia, it's an audio visual program and delivery system is what we've become, and by demand, the listeners wanted to see, they wanted to watch.
Well, you know what? There is that voyeuristic portion to
Yeah.
use a term that you just used earlier, Dr. Salvato. I know that if I could listen or watch, I mean, if I'm driving, I'm going to listen because I love the station.
Sure.
But if I have the opportunity to watch, I like to watch because there's a lot, like even like this. So once again, I know we're talking a lot about the new technology. We're talking about Blab today, but it's the first time we've used this, and it's our goal to be able to interact with our listeners worldwide. So because we've been trying to find a good way to get people to ask questions, and one of the things is, as the host, it's very hard for me to sit here and when people tweet questions directly or when they text,
It
it's
is.
hard. But with Blab, we can scroll through. We're taking a little bit of break when the guest is speaking. There's an opportunity for one of us to listen. So it's a way for us to be more interactive. And yet, the thing about Blab that I'm finding really interesting is that it is a very voyeuristic tool. Because basically it's like the old 900 chat lines, right? But you have to pay for it, where you just sit and dial in and listen, and it's like, ooh, I'm listening to these other people talk. That's pretty cool.
I never did that.
I'm sure you didn't.
I didn't understand why I would want to do that.
So, yes, Dr. Salvato.
I was just going to say, I've got to tell you, before we came on the line, and I'll just take your word on it on those 900 chat rooms. Before I came on the line, I logged into Blab, and I was waiting for you to get where you were going to be, so that you could log in. So I just tuned into the first nerdy Blab that was going on. And it was one of the most informative. It just so happened to be a guy from another company, a woman from Blab, and a third person from another company as well, who actually happened to be visiting London, who was asking questions about using Blab and how is Blab different from Periscope, and talking about his experience. It was his very first Blab. He had never been on Blab before, and he does scopes all the time. Using Periscope, and so he's just starting to get a feel for the power and the potential that this system had. And as I was listening to them, talk, I was learning things about Blab. I was learning about new features that had just been added today. I mean, people might not know this platform we're talking about is 200 days old today. I've only been using it now. I've only been using it for about 30 days, but it is 200 days old today, and so it's really awesome. And before I forget, if I could, I just want to say some folks that might have tuned in late last week might have missed the opportunity to get that free book that we were talking about, and I'm all about bringing that value. So if you tuned in late last week or you didn't catch last week's show, when you go to prosperityreinvented.com, there's an opportunity there for you to get a book called Shunyata. And Shunyata is all about taking 100% responsibility for your experiences. We talked about it last week. If you want to see more about that or hear more about that, go to CEOmanship.com and watch the archived footage of that interview from 2 weeks ago. But then if you're interested in finding out about this mentoring program, you'll have an opportunity. We'll talk about it tonight on the Barefoot Millionaire Mastermind. But you can go to prosperityreinvented.com/special-offer, and you can snag your copy of that book, Prosperity Reinvented, right now, so that we don't run out and can make sure that that everybody gets one before they tune into the podcast or the broadcast tonight. So I just wanted to mention that. But back to Blab, it was what you can learn so much by logging in and listening to some of these people, and that's part of relationship marketing, because while I was there, you can bet your butt that I added all three of those people to my contacts in Twitter, and I've already started sending messages back and forth to them, thanking them for the value that they brought. And that's how you start a relationship.
And that's based on real value. Looking at George inch his hand towards the board, which means that he's going to be putting the music on in a couple of minutes. But I wanted to ask you one last question before he brings on the closing tunes. If somebody wants to begin being coached by you, what is that next step? How do they get in touch with you?
The next step, they could do one of two things. They can send me an email at prosperity.reinvented@gmail.com. They can join us on one of our hangouts by going to prosperityreinvented.com. or they can go to the URL that I just gave before and reach out to me, or reach out to me through Skype at John Michael, GIANMICHAEL.Salvato, SALVATO, here on Skype, and I'll be happy to help them take the next step, explore their options, and certainly keep everything strictly confidential.
I really thank you for coming back onto the show.
Thanks for having me.
2 out of the last 3 weeks. You're a terrific guest. The feedback's great. Feel free to visit CEOmanship.com. All of the shows go up on our archives within just a couple of hours of airtime. You can follow CEOmanship and the iTunes podcast library. You can follow me on Twitter. It's Follow Steve Gord. It's also CEOmanship or GordonPartnership.com, both of those. It's Gordon Partnership on Instagram. And I'm so excited that we finally knocked out our first blab. I think it's going to be a great and positive experience. I hope those of you watching today live will connect with us, myself and Dr. Salvato, because we really would love to be able to communicate with you, get your feedback, and have you come back. Shows are usually every single Monday at noon Eastern Time. You can watch those shows on SoFloTelevision.com. My name is Steve Gordon. I'm the host of CEOmanship on SoFlo Television and SoFloRadio.com. See you next Monday.
From high atop 1926 Hollywood Boulevard, you're listening to SoFloRadio.com.